But that's for another panel. We have time for one last question. I owe an apology to everybody who's not up in this little clique here. They've been passing the microphone back, and I thought that would be a good way. My apologies, but I cannot say no to Mary Ellen, and she's been holding the mic for a while, so go ahead.
Thank you, Bob. This will be brief, but it goes to how we got into this mess. And I really appreciate knowing it's just a factual question, really. The decision was made to turn the main interrogation function of those responsible for 9/11 over to the CIA, to take it away from the FBI from military interrogators. Interrogators who were under rules, either constitutional or military law. FM 3452 prohibits coercion. That's the method that FBI used. The true and tragic irony of that is that the CIA had no trained interrogators on 9/11. They had no Arabic speakers prepared and experienced in the booth with how to interrogate. Somebody made the decision that the CIA should do the job. And this goes to your point on the unitary executive, Professor Watts, when you said this morning, they didn't want to turn to the people who had the knowledge, the experienced people. This wasn't the lawyers this time. It was those who decided we were going to take, and then that, David, I think, is what led to the decision we've got to get these guys out of the protection of Geneva Conventions, etc., so the CIA could do what they wanted. I think in terms of intelligence gathering, in terms of truth protection, in terms of the application of the rule of law, that decision was the critical and fatal decision, and I've never heard who made it, why they made it. You all have said that they acted in good faith, but not to have the trained interrogators get the information.
Right.
And even when the FBI had people and they were getting good information, they were taken away and turned over to the CIA, who started using their unlawful techniques.
We've got 90 seconds left, so keep the answers very brief, please.
Okay. So it appears that this started not with the interrogation of Abu Zubaydah, who was picked up March 28th of 2002, but with the prior capture of Ibn Sheikh al-Libi, who was picked up in December of 2001. There was a fracas between the FBI and the CIA at that point. The CIA won that battle, and al-Libi was interrogated briefly by the CIA and then rendered to Egypt. As best we can reconstruct, al-Libi is now back in Libyan custody. Who it is, and Philippa, if you know the particulars of this, I think you're right. I think that the CIA has been very disciplined on this, and the inner workings of that decision at the time. There's been, the people who have given information have been FBI folks, but the CIA participants have been very disciplined, and I have not seen who it is in the CIA who, I can tell you why it happened, I can tell you what the debate was. The idea was that the presumption was that these guys had information that the CIA or that the FBI wasn't getting. And so that the failure to elicit this information was not because the people didn't have it, it's because the FBI was using techniques that were too modest, and it was taking too long. And because of the fear of a second wave, they felt like they didn't have the time to wait. So the presumption was that there was additional information that was being left on the table. And so you pass the person over to the CIA, which will use more aggressive techniques. That's what drove it. Now, the cables that went back and forth from Pakistan to Langley, that's who wrote them. That, to my knowledge, that's never surfaced. I'm very curious about it. I should declare, for the benefit of everyone here, I represent Abu Zubaydah. So take that in your, factor that in.
I think we have the material for at least another hour. We are a minute and a half over our limit. Please join me in thanking our panelists.